Hello.
Hi, is this Joey?
Yeah, this is Joey.
All right, well, let me do the official introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited to welcome our featured guest for this evening. He is a singer, songwriter, and the last surviving member of the group Badfinger. He just came out with a brand new album in October, Be True to Yourself, and we are very excited to welcome the one and only Mr. Joey Molland to the show. You're on with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Carrie, and thank you very much, Whitney.
You know, I've been thinking about getting dental implants, and I'm kind of scared. And I understand you had that done yesterday.
Yeah, I had it done on Wednesday, and I underestimated the side effects of it. It was brutal. It was like they beat me up. I'm all my face is bruised and my chin and stuff. It's really kind of a horrible experience.
Wow.
But it's getting better now, and I can talk again, and I know it's going to look a lot better than it did. You know, I've had English teeth all my life, and English teeth are notorious for wearing out quickly. Yeah. And so mine had, but I'm relieved to have had them fixed by good old American surgeons. And I feel good now.
Now you won't be able to get a part in the new Austin Powers movie.
They didn't have me in this last one either.
Yeah. But I was wondering, when you have something like that, okay, your gift is your voice. Are you worried that something like that may change the way you sound?
No, not in particular. I've had some teeth work done in the past, and that didn't really alter it. So I'm not really bothered. I think it'll be all right.
Right.
Well, hopefully your dentist was a Joey Molland fan.
I hope so. Well, he was, wasn't he? He was, yeah. Of course he was.
Well, I must say there's a definite connection between us, because one of my really good buddies is Brett Hudson, and Brett Hudson got a hold of me and was like, would you like to talk to Joey? I'm like, hell yeah. So
that's really nice of you to say that.
And he turned around and told me, because he arranged for us to get the tracks, and we got the tracks sent to us by Mark, of course, who's the producer of your album. And Brett told me, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and Brett told me, he said, now you make sure you listen to the entire album, because it's really good. And I was very impressed. I mean, age hasn't changed you at all. You sound really great, and I can hear the old you, and definitely a lot of influences. As far as the sound of the album, the one thing that everybody always wonders about whenever an artist has been around for a while, brings out a new album, it's how different is it from the old Joey Molland? How would you explain the sound is compared to what people used to hearing you do?
How would I explain it?
Yeah.
I think it sounds. Very modern. I mean, the style of music that I do. I don't know. I've been doing it all my life, so I guess it's old music. But the sound of the record isn't old. Mm-hmm. The performance on the record isn't old. The energy on the record isn't old. It's all brand new, and so I'm really quite excited about the sound and what people are saying about it,
Right.
And the songs turned out really good. The people that played with us, all the musicians, it was all done live. We did vocal overdubs and all that stuff, all the moves and ours. Mm-hmm. But all the backtracks were done in one take, and all of that stuff.
Now, we're talking about something that was done in a studio compared to doing something in a home studio with a computer, right?
That's exactly. Oh, yeah. This was done at Mission Sound in New York. The brilliant genius engineer, Mario McNulty. He's a Grammy winner. He's done bunches of great records, great CDs, David Bowie among others. It's a great old studio. They got a room full of drum kits there and a room full of amplifiers.
Wow.
Every keyboard you'd want to look at in terms of a real keyboard, like a piano, a B3, or a Hammond B3 organ. All of them are there. It was wonderful.
Well, I know Mark Hudson's involved and is your producer. Now, you met him quite a few years ago at a Beatles tribute concert event, right?
That's right, yeah, Beatles event. He did a lot of work with Ringo during his career, produced a bunch of Ringo albums and played in Ringo's band around it. So he had a real solid connection to the Beatles. Yeah. And, of course, I did all that work with him as well in the old days. So, yeah.
So how did take us through the genesis of the album? I mean, how did the idea I know you had met Mark at the Beatles event, but how did the idea to come about for you guys to get together and do this album?
Well, it took me 10 years, but I talked him into it. So, I really wanted to make a new record, and I have done for a while, but I'm not a real record producer. I can make a record, just make it sound okay, but I wanted to work with a real producer, and that's exactly what Mark is. And the more we worked together, the more I thought it'd be great if he'd produce me a record. Mm-hmm. So I talked to him, and eventually he called me one day. I guess he had a few, we had a bit of time off or something, and he said to me, "Hey, what about that record?" And I freaked out and said, "Yeah," and sent him like 40 songs that I had sitting in the bag, and that was the start of it. And from that came these 10 songs and the album here. It took about 3 years to actually do the whole thing. After we actually got down to the actual doing of it. He lives in New York and Los Angeles. I live in Minnesota. The musicians live all over the place. We were lucky to get a really good rhythm bed from bass players in New York City, guitar players, and Steve Holly came and played drums for us. Just really great. Mark played some as well. Yeah.
And also, you mentioned Steve Holly. Jason Sheff. Julian Lennon and somebody, of course, Julian Lennon, legendary son of John Lennon, somebody you got to work with that you had actually toured with for a Beatles tribute concert, and that was you had Mickey Dolenz help you out.
That's right, yeah. Well, we did that tour last year because it was like 50 years of the White Album, or 50 years ago today the tour was called, and it was based on the White Album, we did that. Todd Rundgren, Mickey Dolenz, Jason Sheff, Christopher Cross, and myself. We did about 50 dates last year. We were going to do more this year, actually, because it was a lot of fun, I think, for everybody. And we sold a lot of places out, so everybody's very happy with it, So anyway, but because of the COVID, of course, all that's been cancelled. Right. But we did become very good friends on the tour. And when they found out I was doing a new record, they kind of volunteered to come and sing with us on it.
Wow.
So I said, well, of course, yeah, great. I was knockout.
Well, were you ever a fan of the Monkees or the Hudson Brothers?
Well, sure I was. A fan of the Monkees. The Hudson Brothers were out really before I came to America. So I didn't really see them in that light. Mm-hmm. But I've known Mark for a long, long while, and if the Hudson Brothers were anything like that, that would be a crazy show.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, they're very supportive, and I think it was so cool that Brett was really supporting his brother's work as a producer. I mean, you got a great team behind you, and that definitely helps. And I guess Julian Lennon is a photographer and even shot the artwork for the cover. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. That's one of his careers now. That's it, he is. And he had these photographs. Mark saw one the front cover,
Uh-huh.
and he really liked it, and he suggested to me, said, maybe we could talk to Julian about using his photo for the cover. And I said, well, it looks like a great cover.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. Mark had a word with him, and he gave us permission for us to use it, and we're very grateful. And then he gave us, another one for the back, pretty similar but a little different to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're really lucky. I'm really lucky. I like feeling.
I mean, being around,
just incredible.
Right. Being around as long as you have, and having all that connection, of course, with Apple Records and with the Beatles and everything. Did you get into any conversations with Julian about his dad?
No, something I've never really talked to him about, really, I did work with his dad a little bit on the Imagine album, but no, I haven't really got into that kind of conversation with him, no.
Well, since we're kind of talking about the Beatles, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your interaction and your experiences, because you worked with both John and George, but from what I read online, you worked a little bit more closely with George. Can you talk about both gentlemen from the Beatles and what it was like working with them, especially when, you were kind of just up and coming at the time, right?
Yeah, I was about 23 then, yeah? And I just joined the band. I just joined Badfinger. And we had a couple of hits. And one day George just called us up and asked us if we'd come bring our guitars to the studio. He was making a new record, and he asked us, did we want to come down and play? And we went down there, and there they all were, man. And that was my first real experience of being around the Beatles. I'd seen them at Apple at the offices and stuff, but never really socialized with them, I was a huge Beatles fan, and just to be around them was really kind of freaky,
Right.
I don't know what you guys are like with these big stars, but I got kind of nervous about it.
We do, and I think it's great.
You know that feeling, yeah. So I go in the studio, and there's Ringo Starr sitting there playing the drums, Eric Clapton, Klaus Foreman, the bass player, Billy Preston and George Harrison, all in the room together, and we're walking in with our guitars, and it was super. Everybody was really nice, shouting hello and all that, and hey, it's Badfinger, and then and George came over, just started talking to us and thanking us for coming and everything, and it was a wonderful, really social experience, as well as great working on the music. It was lovely. Everybody was super nice. There were no big stars in the room, even though all these big stars were in the room, They all seemed like normal people, and they made us feel very at home, and that made the job a lot easier,
And I understand that George Harrison, as far as producing and kind of directing everybody, he was a little bit more direct and more blunt than John, right?
Well, he was a lot more kind of formal in that way. He had all his arrangements all set. He knew what he wanted us to do. But it wasn't that different experience, don't get me wrong. They'd both been recording with the Beatles all those years, and so that's how they recorded. They liked to record with everybody in the same room. They liked everybody to play at once, and all that. They liked to get that rhythm bed all together at the same time, So they were very similar in that way. John was a bit more forthright, more kind of a Liverpool way of talking, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
He used language, and he talked the way he wanted to. We're going to do this. The song's called Jealous Guy, you know what I mean? And it goes like this, and he'd sing it to you. And all of a sudden it was John Lennon there playing the guitar and singing to you, which is an unbelievable experience, and just incredible. He made jokes with the drummer about the drum bits, and the Badfinger fellas. When we finished Jealous Guy, he said, you can, he didn't, well, I can't even say what he said because he swore on it.
No, you can say we're uncensored. Go ahead.
He said, you can fuck off now if you like. And, so we said, no, it's okay, we'll hang about for a bit, because he just wanted us to play on Jealous Sky, really.
Right.
But he was going to do I Don't Want to Be a Soldier next.
Right.
And so we just jammed along with it. It was like a Bo Diddley kind of rhythm thing. It was nice. And anyway, don't you know that they're the guitarists that he used, that Badfinger did on the record.
Oh, really?
They were the ones on I Don't Want to Be a Soldier. Yeah, that's what he gave us credit for, yeah.
Wow.
So it's not, it's kind of bizarre that happened, but what a great time. Just like you'd imagine, going around his house was really interesting. There was nobody there when we got there. We walked in the front door, and so it was really kind of weird. All black carpet everywhere. Black
really?
Carpet.
Wow.
Yeah, completely black as well. Not patterned or anything. It was black.
Wow.
And the room with the big white piano, the front pole, nothing else in the room really, just piano. Huge room, but anyway, we walked through his house, billiard room and all that, beautiful old Indian billiard table. He had frames on the walls with tools in them, like a hammer.
Really?
Or
wow.
Yeah, like painting frames, like art frames.
Yeah.
And he had like a shovel hung up there and a chisel, different tools with the works of art that he had hanging up. And the jukebox in the kitchen, all the old hit records.
Fantastic.
Just like you'd imagine Johnny's house,
Yeah, exactly.
Like
In comparing the different boys of the Beatles and how they were and how they were acted, I don't know how much interaction you had with Paul when it came to producing or them basically telling you what to do, because of course you were on Apple Records. Another performer from Apple Records we had on the show and interviewed, who was Mary Hopkin, who did Those Were the Days. She didn't like Paul's interaction. She said that he kind of took over her songs and kind of didn't give her the creative freedom that she wanted to have. Did you have any input from any of the Beatles or Paul, particularly to where they were over influencing you?
We did with George when we were doing the George thing, and of course we gave them the Straight Up album, and they didn't like that. The one we recorded, I mean. So they had us do a whole new album, and George came on board and produced it. So they did in that sense. And George, when we were doing the songs, he was, and I didn't realize this at the time, but they were very concerned with making hit records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And selling records. They were concerned with that. And the Beatles were masters of writing hit songs. They didn't do all the songs they wrote. They did the ones that were going to be hits.
Yeah. Right.
And they were brilliant at it. And so they were naturally concerned with that stuff. And I'm sure I wasn't there for the Paul sessions. Excuse me, I'm a little bit croaky here.
That's okay.
But I wasn't there for the Paul sessions, but I was there for all the George stuff and the John stuff, of course. But they do influence how you write your songs and what you write. Yeah, and what they're trying to do is make you hit records.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and I had read that at one point George had, and I guess he asked. He didn't just tell you, but he asked if he could play slide on a Badfinger song, right?
Oh yeah, he came and we'd done day after day, and we were about to do the solo, and Pete and I were working out the slide solo. We both played slide ourselves. Anyway, we were working on it, and then George came in, and he just came in and asked, could he play slide? And I think he was just missing playing the guitar. He loves to play the guitar. So, it took a long time to do his own album, that All Things Must Pass. And he wasn't playing with anybody. He never played with anybody except the Beatles,
Right.
So,
well, I mean,
he loved it. It took ages to
He
do
probably figured that nobody was going to look at George Harrison and be like, no, you're not going to play with us. Sit in the corner.
Well, you would think he would be like that, but he was very, very normal about it. When he said, do you mind, I think he meant it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? He wanted to know if we wanted to play it. It was our record.
Right.
And, but he did only do it that one time. He did only come and play But he actually took it. Well, I gave him my scrap and said, "Here, go ahead, play that."
Yeah.
Well, you were involved with the. Go ahead.
Yeah, he did great, man. They worked. He took as long as 3-4 hours over that solo.
Wow.
Working on it. He made sure that both the slide parts. He wanted to do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
If there were going to be 2 slide parts, he wanted to do them both at the same time, and they were playing in unison on slide. And I don't know if you play slide, but it's difficult to play in unison.
Right.
On slide,
Yeah.
But he did it, and Pete did it, and it worked out great. It sounded beautiful, still does. So.
Well, you did the whole Bangladesh thing with George too, right?
Yeah. Well, he called us up. He was going to do his own record, the All Things Must Pass record, and he invited all the people who played on it, the people who came and sang on it and stuff. He invited all those same people to come, and they did. Yeah.
Incredible.
We had Billy Preston down there, but I tell you what, Billy was doing That's the Way God's Planned It at the concert, the Bangladesh concert, and he's singing the song and playing it away, just playing his heart out. We're all playing along, we're just really enjoying it, and all of a sudden he's off the organ and he comes dancing across the stage towards us. we're sitting there with our acoustic guitars going, "Whoa, what's going to happen now?"
Wow.
It was cool. He stopped himself and turned around and scooted right back. But man, just great to see it. See it all going on. Leon Russell right here playing the piano and the horn section.
Incredible.
It was just, it was incredible. It was lovely.
Billy Preston was so great. I mean, I'm a big fan. I don't really think in America we really knew who he was until he had his pop single "Will It Go Round in Circles," but he was iconic.
Yeah, he was. He was in like what's the St. Louis Blues movie?
Yeah, yeah.
He played I think W.C. Handy when he was a kid.
Yeah.
He played that in that movie. That's how much experience that guy had. I had no idea about that.
Wow.
Played with everybody. He played with Little Richard. I think he played with Ray Charles. He played with loads and loads of people, and of course he was the 5th Beatle,
Right.
When they met him, they had him play on everything, so. Yeah, he was great, man, and a beautiful guy.
I really enjoyed finding out. I wasn't really aware at the time, and I should have been. Sometimes, it takes me a while to get to see a movie. This movie's been around for a while, but I just recently saw and fell in love, because I'm a Peter Sellers fan, The Magic Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And you did the music for The Magic Christian, right?
Yeah, Badfinger did the guys. When Paul brought them to the Come and Get It song, and then he produced it for them, and he asked them to write a song for the introduction to the movie, which is that bit where Ringo's sleeping in the park.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they did. They wrote a song called Carry On Till Tomorrow, and Paul liked it so much. It was so right for the movie that he gave them the opportunity to write the rest of the music, which is 2 more songs. One called Crimson Ship, and another called Rock of Ages. So they had 4 songs in the movie from that. Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely incredible. Well, when you turn around, you became a member of Badfinger. Now, they were under another name at the time, and they were outing one of the members, and they brought you in, right?
Yeah. For some reason, the bass player left the band, and Tommy Evans decided he was going to play bass, so they started looking for a guitar player, and a good friend of mine recommended me for the job. So I went down and auditioned, and I got the job in the band. Yeah.
And you weren't initially even going to audition, right?
Yeah, I auditioned for it. Yeah. They'd had a bunch of people do it, so I went down and did it. I was a bit worried about it, really, but I like rock and roll music, and the ideas weren't known to me as a rock band. They were very poppy in their early days.
Yeah.
Right.
But it turned out they wanted to be more of a rock band, and they had been before they'd left Swansea, their hometown. They were well known around the town as a rock band and a big group. But when they started writing songs, And I don't know, this seems to happen to everybody. You start writing songs like love songs about everything's about love, and so and there's really nothing wrong with that, but it's very poppy, very lightweight music,
right?
And they wanted to rock out some, you know.
Well, I think the name Badfinger definitely sounds more rock than the Ivies. The Ivies sounds like some 50s doo-wop music or something, you know?
That's right, and you know, there was another band in England called the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Which, you know, they were a pop band too. And then they wanted to avoid the confusion, but most of all, they wanted to get more rock and, you know, to people to give them a bit of a chance at that, you know? And it worked out good.
Well, the way you described Badfinger, I thought was very interesting, and thought maybe you could tell people what that meant. You said that Badfinger was a perfect example of what you call rock socialism. What does that mean?
Well, I meant by the way we governed it, but the name Badfinger came from the Beatles demo for With a Little Help from My Friend, and it came because John Lennon played the piano. And he wasn't the greatest pianist in the world. He could play, but he wasn't the greatest. And I think he made some mistakes, so they called it Badfinger Boogie. That's what the name of it was. And it was Neil Aspinall who treated us, who suggested it for a name. Neil Aspinall, of course, was the Beatle roadie.
Right.
Well, there you go, absolutely.
So
did you get that?
Yes. So, go ahead.
Now, did you want me to give you that Badfinger was a socialist band?
Well, you had mentioned in another interview that we had read that Badfinger was a perfect example of rock socialism. I guess it probably goes back to the fact that, I mean, Badfinger as a band, you guys were like a family and all of that was good, but then, of course, money got in the way, right?
Money always gets in the way of rock bands. But no, I wasn't talking about it like that. We had our agreements in Badfinger, and when I joined them, they already had made an agreement to share any songwriting royalties they make. And the deal was this, was the songwriter, and it was only for songs that Badfinger recorded.
Right.
Or the Ivies, actually, as well. They're only for the songs that they recorded. And the songwriter would get the first kind of 25 cents off the dollar. Yeah?
Right, okay.
The other 75 cents was split equally amongst the 5 partners, including the songwriter. So songwriter ended up getting 40% of the money,
right?
40% of the dollar, and the other guys got 15 cents each.
Right.
And that was the agreement how we divvied up our royalties. All the expenses, we all paid out 20% of it. All the everything else we split equally amongst the band, and we paid all the bills out of it first, out of the money first. So that sounds pretty socialist to me.
Yeah.
We all got our share, and it was good because, like, I wrote half of the music in that band, and even though I didn't write the big hits, half of each one of those albums I wrote it.
Right.
And so it made as much money as anybody else's song, So it all worked out, Well, it wasn't like I was getting all the money. It wasn't like Tommy was getting all the money, or Pete was getting all the money, or Mike was getting all the money. We all got paid what we made.
Well, I know you're a positive person and you like to be positive, but we got to mention too that Badfinger had a lot of bad luck. And from what I understand, what started the whole thing was the fact that management was taking all your money. And was it not a situation that the one member had, you tried to tell the one member that they were taking your money and he didn't believe you at first, right?
No, he didn't believe us at all. And actually, he left the band. He was so concerned about it. But of course, he was wrong, It turned out really bad for everybody, especially Pete and Tommy. But the guy was a thief.
Yeah.
He spent all of the money, not some of it. Not some of it now, but all of it.
Wow, and this is your personal manager, right?
Yeah, he was our business manager.
Uh-huh.
Our actual personal manager, Bill Collins, was just as duped as all of us, and he ended up broke as well.
Right.
You know, we were all broke, man. I mean, you know, I got a job laying rugs to make money. You know, when I left the band in winter of '74, right around Christmas it was, I had $700.
Wow.
And I had my guitars were gone. All my equipment had been sold. Even the truck that we bought as a band had been sold. It was a bloody nightmare, man.
How long was this going on that he was taking your money like that?
Well, he was doing it all the time apparently, but we found out because Warner's found out that he'd gotten into the escrow account at Warner Brothers, and I don't know, nobody knows how he did this, but he actually stole money out of the accounts. You know, when we delivered an album to Warner, they would pay us in advance on that album.
Right.
I know, but all those advances were put into an escrow account when we signed the deal.
Sure.
You know? So they were paid out. So Polly found his way into the escrow accounts and got the money out. And Warner's took our new record, Wish You Were Here, which is really doing quite well. It's going to go into charts. They took the record off the shelf, they suspended our record deal, and they sued us for the money that was missing.
Wow.
Yeah, they couldn't go after the manager, Polly, because we signed the contract. He hadn't signed the contract. We'd signed. So they sued us. And you know what? They sent us a message to London. They wanted us to know that as soon as this mess was sorted out, the deal would be reinstated and Badfinger would be able to carry on with their record.
Right.
I think they even were going to re-release the album.
Right.
But just through circumstances, my wife got that message, and she called me at the meeting we were at and told me. I said, "Thanks very much, Kat," and I hung up and I turned around. I told the band that Warner's would telex us to their office in London, and I'd called my house to tell us that the deal was okay. We were going to be all right. But they had to sort out the money stuff.
Right.
There was $325,000 missing or something. Anyway, he got up and said he didn't want my wife managing the band, and he left the band. That's how adamant he was about Polly being cool. So he left the band, and we got a pianist, Bob Jackson. He came in and played. We had a tour we were going to do in a few weeks, crying out loud. So you can see how the situation is here.
The money situation was bad, but what's even worse is it led to a suicide, right?
Well, yeah. Well, 6 months later, Peter's wife was having a baby, and he called up thinking he'd be able to get money from the manager. The manager said, "Oh, there's no money. You haven't got any money left." Yeah.
Wow.
He wanted to buy his wife some, stuff. She was going in the hospital to have the baby.
Right.
And he wanted to buy her some, nightgowns and stuff.
Yeah.
But he didn't even get the money to do that.
No.
Just so I can get past this subject, and then later on there was a situation where you had another member that committed suicide. Is that right?
Yeah. Tommy was, well, I don't really know why Tommy did it. I can't tell you the truth about that, really. I mean, I don't know the truth about it. I know he called me when he was going to do it. He called me that night.
Yeah, he told you, and you didn't believe him, right?
Well, I didn't think he would go out and kill himself, no.
Who would? Who would believe that? Nobody'd believe that.
And I asked him why he was telling me that. Why are you telling me that? I was in America. He was in London. Why was he telling me that? He was really angry about the money in London, the money in court. But we couldn't get the money. I wanted the money too. My God, I was doing day jobs. I was working day jobs when he was doing that. I wanted the money too, man. We all needed it. My God, Mike needed it. Yeah. I'll tell you something. In reality, Tommy was getting money from ASCAP. He was getting the ASCAP royalties from the band. So out of us all, he was making money. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad
I got ideas about it, but I don't want to get into it really, man.
Right.
They say nothing about me without me telling the truth to everybody.
Well, let me ask you, because I know that there was somebody had put out a Badfinger biography, a book not too long ago, and you weren't crazy about the book. Have you ever considered writing the book yourself or having it come straight from you? Because there seems to be a lot of misinformation out there. Everybody thinks they know what happened.
The thing is, I did put a book out. It was an interview I did with a journalist, Mike Cimino on the East Coast, and we put that book up. And that just tells you your bare naked story. It's not me bitching about everything.
Right.
I just told them what happened in the band, what the band was doing. So I put that out. But a lot of people in the Macavina book, which is the one you're talking about. I've never read the book. My wife read it, and it made her cry. It just made my wife cry. It was like she and I were somehow responsible for all the bad things that happened, and they were responsible for all the good things that happened.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I don't. Do I want to write a book about that? Do I want to really write a book about that? Do I want those children to know about their fathers and all that?
Yeah.
Do I want everybody to know about that? Is it worth it? It's not worth it to me.
Right.
I know how it was. I was in the band,
Right.
We ended up sorting out the money thing. And everybody gets all the money they deserve.
Yeah.
And all the money they earn. Peter Ham's family gets all the money that he makes. So does Tommy Evans' family, so does Mike Gibbons' family, and so does my family.
Right.
And so does Bill Collins, actually. And, it's funny, but I'm not even going to go into it because it's not really something I want to tell everybody about.
Well, the whole thing the beautiful thing about it is that you're a survivor and you had it in you to continue on. What was it in your life that gave you that driving force to continue on? Because with all that tragedy that happened, most people would have quit, and here you are, a brand new album. What drives you?
Well, I've been playing, all these years. I love playing, man. I heard Elvis Presley when I was 11 years old, and some switch turned on inside me. Immediately, I'm not talking the next day or the next week, I'm talking that day. I went into the front parlour, my brother played the guitar, and I got his guitar out and started to learn to play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play the guitar. The day before it, I was making, bows and arrows. I was, doing those kind of things, playing soccer. The day after that, I was done. It was all gone. I was playing the guitar, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I've done that all my life. I've never really thought that I was going to be a rock star or anything, or never really dreamed about making a record, but I knew that I wanted to play the guitar, and I really enjoyed it. So I learned my Chuck Berry stuff and my Buddy Holly and, all of that Eddie Cochran stuff. All of them, really.
Right.
And I worked hard at it. I really enjoyed it. And then I started getting jobs. People started asking me to play the guitar with them, which was like a miracle.
You got to work with great people like Todd Rundgren.
I did. I did, man. I've worked with Todd, yeah. It's funny you say that, but yeah. Yeah, I got to work with those guys. I guess you've heard the stories about that too.
Maybe. Why don't you enlighten us? Go ahead. We're uncensored
well,
here.
How can I say this? When we first met Todd Rundgren, he was well, frankly, he was an arsehole. He was rude. He was obnoxious. He was egotistical. He thought he was the greatest guy in the world. He had yellow and green hair. We'd heard his records, and they were pretty good. I got to say that. They weren't really our kind of music. But, George had recommended him to come in and finish the production on the Straight Up album. And he came in, and we went along with the picture. He was, really obnoxious. He was rude to us. He told us we couldn't play. We were hopeless.
Wow.
And this was when we recorded Baby Blue in like 2 takes. We overdubbed the guitar solo and one acoustic, and that was our band playing live on that tape. Those drum fills are there. Those bass parts are on that tape. But this guy was saying things like that to us, and he seemed frankly more concerned with the drum part for the song Cripple Creek, the band song. It had that beautiful little drum kind of part in it, and he was obsessed with that. Anyway, we liked it too, but we were making a record and we made it. I've got to go on to say, many years later, I met Todd in the Hilton Bar in Atlantic City. Played a show with him actually that night.
Right.
And afterwards, having a glass of beer, and there was Todd Rundgren. So I went up to him and said hello, and I said, listen, can you tell me? And I asked him why he was like that with us.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Why he was such an asshole to us? He said, "Oh, you just remember me like that, man." And that was his way out of that conversation.
Wow.
So that was the end of that, really. I went back to my beer. He went to a drink, and we didn't fall out in an argument about it.
Right.
It was probably good that he said something like that.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to know. I wanted to know if he had a reason, if it was some kind of tactic, if he thought it would spare us on, or something like that. But it was, what? And I've heard over the years that he was like that with all, a lot of the people he worked with.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything new for me to say it. I think somebody said it on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Now, see, you got just an opposite story, because I had a bad experience with Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was an asshole to me, but he was really nice to you.
Yeah, he was great to me. Yeah, he was lovely.
So how'd you meet Chuck? It was through Dick Clark, right?
No, I met him first time in San Francisco Airport when I saw him. I was on a Badfinger tour, and Tommy said, "Joe, there's Chuck Berry over there."
Oh.
Chuck Berry is one of my absolute heroes, So I went right over to him, and I called him Mr. Berry. Mr. Berry, I just wanted to say hello. My name's Joey Molland, playing a band named Badfinger, and one of my heroes. I just wanted to say that to you. And he was really sweet. He said a few things. He was with a girl, and he didn't, he didn't want to be stuck talking to me. But anyway, he was nice. I left. I saw him next time with Dick Clark.
Yeah.
I went to the American Music Awards, and I walked in, and I heard this voice shouting me, "Joey, Joey, Joey." And I turned around, and there's Dick Clark, who was a friend of ours, a great fan of the Badfinger band. And he was standing with Chuck Berry. with Chuck Berry, and he calls me over. And I'm going over there, now there's Chuck Berry with him. And Dick's all smiling, great, he's a great guy, I don't know if you ever met him. Anyway, he tells me, "Joey, Joey," and he turns around, and he says to Chuck Berry, "Chuck, Joey Molland from Badfinger?" He didn't say Joey, Chuck Berry. It really freaked me out, like he expected Chuck Berry to know me. And Chuck looked over at me, and he leaned over and rubbed his elbow on me.
Oh, there you go.
Which I took as a great compliment.
It's the touch from the master. It's the master's touch.
Man. Yeah, man. And so, that's my real Chuck Berry story. I saw him one more time in my life. I went to see him at a casino out near Minnesota here, and he was playing the show. I bought a record with me. You know the one with the profile of him?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
In front of it, the white one. I bought that with me, and I wanted him to sign it for me. So, and the agent got me tickets to the show. Went to the show, watched the show. It was incredible, and it was incredible. All the people dancing and Anyway, after the show, I go backstage with the agent. We go in the dressing room. Chuck signs my record, gives me a tip, gives me a card, just little things, you know. And again, he rubs his elbow on me, and we took a photo. I've got a photo of me with Chuck Berry.
Oh, wow. Cool! Yeah.
He never does. He took a photo with me, and then he was cool. He got his beer, like they say, put it in the trunk of his Cadillac, and he was gone. You know.
Wow.
It was great. One of the great nights in my life.
And what's great is you got to survive working with Phil Spector, and he didn't shoot you or kill you. Or
didn't bring a gun with him, as far as I knew. Man.
Wow.
The only time I really saw him, Jordan knows, that was during the George Harrison sessions, right?
Yeah.
Right, right.
We went back in the control room to listen to a tape of one of the songs. And Phil Spector was nowhere in sight. He was laying on the floor underneath the console with a bottle of Courvoisier.
Oh my God.
And he was chugging that and shouting things from under the console. The track sounded great. You know, the recording and the little mix he had going for us sounded really, really good. But he was just plastered, man.
Some people work better when they're drunk, you know. Drunk, it makes it better sometimes.
I used to think that too.
Well, I must say, and I have to tell everybody, because everybody thinks it's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You were telling my daughter Tiffany, when she talked to you on Friday, that you had painkillers, but you didn't want to take them because you didn't want to get hooked on the painkillers. That didn't sound like a rock guy to me. I mean, you were like saying no to the drugs.
Well, you know, I read the instructions this time. In the old days, you never had any instructions with the drugs that came your way. You know, I never took any of the, I never took any real heroin. And I certainly never injected any drugs into my body, man. Yeah. I had my periods, though. I did my smoke, you know, and the downers, the little buzzy pills and stuff. But I'm not taking them now, and I won't take them anymore. I get out, you know, I take a half of one.
Yeah.
That's what I do, yeah. Exactly.
That's what I've done this time, because I don't want to hurt, and this hurt like hell.
Yeah.
You know, I had 4 implants and a bunch of teeth taken out at the same time. Oof. You know, because I'm getting work done on both, you know, upper and lower.
Yeah.
So it was kind of intense, but you know, it's all good. It's all good. Coming out of it, nice coming.
You know, talking about, excuse me, Badfinger. Everybody talks about Day After Day, but I like Without You, and then you covered Harry Nilsson. He was a great guy. I mean, was he good to you?
He was lovely to us. He came to see us. You know, we didn't know anything about him recording it or anything, and he asked us we were in studios making a record ourselves. I think the first Warner Brothers album. Anyway, he came in and he introduced himself like, I'm Harry Nilsson, you know. And we were like, oh wow, you know, because we knew he was Harry Nilsson. He looked just like Harry Nilsson, there with a cap and all that.
Right.
You know, and those tweed coat, you know. Anyway, he asked us to come and listen to a mix. He spent a long time doing the mix with the producer, Mr. Perry, and there he is, retired, and that's what happens when you mix in music. I don't know if you've ever been in a mix. You listen to the same song for hours on end.
Yeah.
So he asked us to come and have a listen and tell us if we liked it, what we thought of it, and so we did. We went in, and he pressed play, and the song he played us was Without You. It was Harry Nilsson's version of Without You. And of course it blew us away, completely blew us away. Really extraordinary. We had no idea at all.
I love that thing he did with Ringo Starr, that movie. Was it Son of Dracula or something? It was a little bizarre little movie, but it's really... Did you ever see that?
No, I didn't.
It's a trip. It's a trip. Well, this new album, we want to go back to talk about...
I had a question about the new album.
Okay.
So, I mean...
Because that's good. That's what we're talking about now.
Knowing that it kind of came to fruition over, 10 years or whatever, how exactly did you and Mark work on co-writing? I mean, I know that you guys live in different places, so was it all, did you guys talk on the phone and write together? Was it all just you did some and he did some, or...
No, we really didn't. I went to New York. He'd had some ideas from the CD or the music I'd sent him, and when we met up at his apartment, I was staying at his. He's got a couple of apartments. He has one with his wife and another one that he has his friends we can stay at. So we were at that apartment, and we just started working on the songs. He had some ideas. I had some ideas. Sometimes it shocked me a little bit, because you changed something completely. But we just worked it. We just worked the songs, I'm used to producers always putting their 2 cents in into my tunes. When we worked with Badfinger, we worked on each other's tunes, and that's how we recorded them.
Right.
We made the parts up, made the guitar bits up, and the U's and the R's and all of that. So that's how we worked on songs. It was all kind of, that's how it is.
Well, it'd been a while because the last thing you did was Return to Memphis of December of 2013, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Was that when it was?
That's what my notes say. 2013, December.
There it was. Okay. I thought people said it was 10 years, but anyway, doesn't matter. I can't remember. I remember going to Memphis to do that record. It didn't turn out the way I wanted, really. So let's talk about the new record more.
Yes.
The thing with Mark is he really wants your record to be successful. He wants it to be more than a good record. He wants everybody in the world to like it if possible.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's where he comes on and puts his pieces in there to make the thing work, to make the songs more accessible. And my God, he's good at it,
Well, you got 2 brothers from the Hudsons, and they're both pushing it.
Well, and let me ask you, I mean, because it's kind of a different, and maybe you're used to this, but in my mind, it's kind of different if you have a band like Badfinger, who was used to playing together, to go into the recording studio because they have a certain camaraderie. What was it like when you guys are bringing in different musicians who are all great musicians, but the first time in the studio, I mean, you guys hadn't rehearsed together. You didn't have a camaraderie. You didn't work together for decades. What was it like kind of meeting with all these various musicians to lay down the tracks?
It was just like you said. It was, but you meet musicians all your life, and most of the musicians are pretty much the same. There are things about being a musician that just are, it seems. These guys, the guys that Mark brought the musicians, remember?
Right.
They weren't egomaniacs, although they were great players. A lot of them, most of them, in fact, were old Badfinger fans as well.
Yeah.
They like the old Badfinger stuff. Badfinger has a kind of a little bit of a reputation amongst the bands, even young bands today. Consider the band something special, and they expect the kind of songs, and they know my old songs. So those guys kind of put the jackets on, put the suits on, and became like Badfinger guys or something. They did, they learned the song with you. They they played the guitar part that they thought would work. You know, it wasn't me going play it like this or play it like that. The song, all I would say was the song goes like this.
Right.
You know, and I'd play my little bit, and they join in, and slowly but surely, 2 or 3 times, 4 times through the song, you know, the bass player's got his part together. The pianist has got the chords where he can block it out easy, you know. And all the basic tracks, that's exactly what they are. They're basic rhythm beds, you know.
Right.
To watch Steve Holly working his drum parts out, man, and talking over the fills with Mark, and then making notes, writing his sheets out, and then he'd go out there and set the groove and just play it. Play it all the way through, play the fills in it, play it right, stop when he's supposed to, accent, you know, whatever. Like he knew the song on the first take, and all the rest of the playing, it was going and looking at his chart and seeing what notes he'd made.
Right. Well, I got a feeling that Mickey Dolenz was always cutting up, or is that just me because he's a monkey?
Yeah, you think he's going to be like that, but not when he's working.
Oh, there
you go. He's learning the part. He's pitching it. He's seeing how high he can go with this part, you know, with the harmonies, because he can sing tremendously high.
Yeah.
And he can sing really strong, but he can sing soft. You know, he's been singing for 50 years, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So he's a real singer, got a real voice. And same with Jason Sheff. Just extraordinary. Listen to the harmonies just on the end of Rainy Day Man. And you hear him climbing the harmonies. It's stunning how good the guy sings. And Jason, Julian, of course.
You think he sounds like his dad?
I think he does, yeah. I think he's got a bit of it there.
Yeah. Well, you know, I got to ask you.
He's definitely aggressive like his dad. There's a beautiful tenderness that his father had, that he had some of.
Yeah.
You know, John Lennon had an extraordinary push, my goodness.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I mean, really, really something. But Julian, watching him work, learning the song, learning the lyrics, learning the harmony, learning the phrasing, and then singing it with his arms full out and singing it, you know?
Yeah.
Not standing there like he's got a suit on and he's not going to let it out. He's letting it out.
Emotional. He's getting involved.
It's like 100% fantastic, you know. And see, I've got photos of all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's really cool. I don't talk to him about his dad, or I talk to him about other things, great shirts or something like that, you know. Do you like this number? You know, I'm sure everybody in the world wants to talk about his dad, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he wants to talk to me about his dad, great. You know what I mean? But,
well, I imagine it's with him the same way it is with you. That you know, and I try to talk about both, but a lot of interviewers will just want to pigeonhole you into talking about Badfinger. You want to talk about you now too, and probably everybody just throws up the Beatles to him all the time, you know.
Well, yeah, you know, and I don't blame him. There aren't that many people who worked around the Beatles like I did.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know why the hell it was me, but it's just what happened. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you've got all this history, and I've got to ask you because, you know, you put out the record, and you want to appease the Badfinger fans. You want to definitely appease people that are fans of your solo work. Be True to Yourself, which is the name of the album, and also a song. That's got to have a meaning. What does that mean about Be True to Yourself? Is that something special for you, or?
Well, it is. The song became something special for me, and it is something. I had that melody for many, many years, and then bit of a story. That I happened to be sitting with my eldest brother, Frank, and he's way older than me, like maybe, I don't know, 18, 20 years older than me. And I'd never really talked to him in all his life, never really had a conversation with him. We got on okay. How you doing, Joe? I'm doing okay. How you doing, Frank? You know, things like that. And I always went to see him when I went to Windy. But this one night we sat at the kitchen table in his house, and had a couple of beers, and we talked about, we had a conversation, my God, and we talked about everything, really, anything and everything we thought of that night. And the next day, I wrote out the words to the song. Yesterday we talked about the future. Can we make it better? Can we make it whole? Who can say? We remember that the preachers and teachers we had, and we remember the schools that we'd been to, the neighborhoods we grew up in. We talked about all of that.
That's great.
And so the words of the song came. So, and then Mark came up with the chorus, "Be True to Yourself," and it just worked.
Right.
Just the whole song came together then, and that's what happened. And then we did the psychedelia on the end, and it's a good little song. Let's call the album that.
There you go.
Well, I know it's kind of like picking your favorite child, but the album "Be True to Yourself" is 10 songs. If you had to pick which one is your favorite one, Joey, what would be your answer?
Ooh.
I know.
Wow. It's really difficult, man. It's really difficult.
Well, there's Be True to Yourself, of course, and
a song I always like to hear is "If All I Do Is Cry."
Right.
I just enjoy that tune.
Great name.
But I liked a lot of them. I liked This Time, although it was a bit different when I wrote it and how it ended up. It's very similar to what I wrote, but it's not completely what I wrote. So that's a little. I just liked the This Time part.
Rainy Day Man is a great song too.
Rainy Day Man came together great, didn't it?
Yeah.
Gary Bear sent us the idea. We sat in Mark's apartment, and wow, it knocked us out, man. He sent us I think the first verse and some of the chorus or the bridge. Just a fabulous little song, and Mark and I settled it all up. Just worked it all out really quick. The bridge came really quick. Just a knockout. And then I think we did a good record of it, don't you?
Yeah.
No, and
wonderful.
One of my favorites is "Shine." I like "Shine." That's a great song too. It's
"Shine." I wrote. I had the idea, and I wrote in 1971, 1972. We actually demoed it as Badfinger. We made a demo of it. Yeah. And we couldn't make the turnaround in it really with the Badfinger band for some reason. We couldn't grab the turnaround, so we ended up not really doing it.
Yeah.
But I like "Shine" too.
Well, I don't know like how you're talking to me, whether you're on a phone and your hands are tied up or whatever. We had talked about the possibility of you playing a guitar and singing something, but then you had the dental surgery. So are you able to sing something from the CD or not? And if you can, it's fine.
I don't know if I can sing something from this. But I can do Can you hear that?
I can hear that, yeah.
You can hear it.
It's a really nice old harmony guitar. Run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town. If he's in a hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. In a way went Rudolph, whizzing like he made it go round. Said Santa to a little boy, what is it you long to get? So he couldn't remember, but he wanted to save the jet. Yeah, and away went Rudolph. So Merry Christmas, man. Run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town. If he's in a hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. And away went Rudolph, looking like a merry-go-round.
Very good, and considering this is our Christmas show,
that's perfect.
And to Chuck Berry up there in heaven, hail, hail, rock and roll, man!
Right.
Seriously,
hail, hail, rock and roll is right.
That's right.
All right. Well, we encourage. I want to thank you, Joey, for joining us. We encourage all of our listeners, get this album, check it out. It's amazing. It's called "Be True to Yourself." Obviously, Joey Molland produced and co-written with Mark Hudson.
No, we should ask too.
Is
it just like a download, or is there a physical CD as well?
Yeah, you can get a physical CD, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but it's definitely available for download.
Yeah, it's available all over for download, iTunes, Amazon Music, everywhere that you can buy digital CDs. If you guys want to check out a couple of samplings of the tracks, other than the ones that we've sampled with you guys on tonight's show, you can head over to Joey's website, which is badfingersite.com. And
say that again, because
Badfingersite, SITE, like a website, badfingersite.com, and definitely get the album. It would make a great Christmas gift for anybody you know who actually likes good music. So there's that. Joey,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Joey, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight, and for singing. Tonight is technically our Christmas show because this is the last show we do before Christmas. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Have a great rest of your weekend and a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And you both of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.